Sandman is your friend, and he is a professional painter, so he should just go and help you anyway.
Right. I was thinking the same thing.
Well, Shannon's in your neighborhood; she'll help you paint.
I only work for money though, so he's gonna it's gonna have to be a fee.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Only work for money. What?
I have a rate per
That's my
day.
problem.
I have a rate per day.
You have a rate
Okay.
per day.
Well,
Oh my
here's something that's this is what hurts drivers. I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring up that in the chat here in a minute. But first, Snowlord says Dean agrees with me. Who is this stranger? Well, I'll let you answer this, Dean, because
What's it say,
parts of
bro?
this is right and parts not right. It says running short equals high rate. That is correct per mile. But then he says, but low weekly gross. Who cares about the gross?
Okay,
That's
okay, but hold on.
that's
Let
the
me
problem.
All right, so let me answer that. So here's the thing, guys. So when if you go back to Snorlord's videos over the last 4 or 5 years, and listen, and Cascade and I have talked about this over the last 6 weeks. Look at the short, and you and I've talked about it too, Jeff. But listen, the short game is only going to produce X amount of dollars per month, right?
Right.
And I would say there's probably a cap on those or on that revenue. If you're going to run short, there's a cap. So your need to be within that range. But here's the thing, right? So if we go back to what I just said, and I talked about rate per mile. So listen, the bozos that are out there saying that you need to focus on rate per mile. Listen, again, that will send you into bankruptcy. Here's why: rate per mile and running a lot of miles mask a poor business plan. Because if you're over leveraged, the only thing you can do to make money is you got to run more miles, right? But if your needs are less and within reason, then you can maybe run short. Or if you have a working spouse.
What do you think? What do you think the income potential cap is
So
for for, for short
my
game?
well, my personal, this is just me, right? This is just my feelings. But I think if your needs are more than 10 grand a month, I think you're going to have a tough time uh, running the short game,
How
right?
Well,
much?
you'd
Ten,
have to
10 grand,
mix it up. You'd have to
right?
mix it up if you're higher.
Right, exactly. You,
What'd
you
you
couldn't
say?
just
But
run all short. You couldn't just run all short. No way.
but
Well,
it
and it
depends
depends
though. It
though.
depends
It
though. See, because we have a
it does.
flatbedder. We have a flatbedder that's down south, and he hauls right in his area within a 150-mile radius because he's hauling certain items out of certain facilities, and he does two or three a day at
But
400 to 500 a piece.
yes,
So
and it also depends on what states you're running the short game. Because if you live in my neck of the woods, it's gonna be tough because things are pretty spread out, right? But if you're in Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, that area, you may be able to make it work. I don't know, but honestly, but Jeff, would you agree if you need more than 10 grand and you're running the short game, something's going to suffer, and that's going to be your profit because now you're going to be up against it every single month, and I mean, we're all in this to make a profit. So, where are you going to get the profit dollars? Uh, I mean, and like you
well,
said, you're going to have to mix it up.
yeah, you have to. It's a give and take, right? You have to have
Right,
your expenses in order. So
right,
if you have high home expenses, you want to try to have low trucking expenses. If you have high trucking expenses, you want to try to have low home
right.
expenses uh, to try to make like an even median. But when if you have high and high, then you got to run a different way.
Right.
And then you got to figure out what you have to do to make that manageable in a down
Right.
market. Because in an up market, it really doesn't matter. You're going to make a lot of money no matter what you do, and we've all experienced that. But in the
Right.
down market, you got to find out what works for you and what lanes work for you.
And here's the thing: if you're running a short game, I mean, it's real simple. It's no different than the long game. But if you're on the, if you go on the load board and you look at whatever the rate is, just take the rate, look at the miles, run the miles divided by your miles per gallon. That's your fuel. You already know what you need per day, but do that before you call the broker. So this way you know what you need. This goes back to what Snorlord was saying. he made more money. He was more profitable running the short game than guys running the long game. And listen, I've told Cascade just in the last 6 weeks 100 times. I said, look, I got to eat a lot of crow because I used to think if you have more revenue, you make more money. That's just not true. But the analogy I'll use here is this. If you look at an NFL quarterback, player, whatever, any kind of, it takes time, right, to learn, right? It takes time to learn it, and things got to slow down. And everybody is different. But I think once you get there and you realize it, at least for me, and I'll speak for myself, and I told Rich this, I got to eat a lot of crow here because at the end of the day, I ran a lot of miles for nothing. Because when I go back and look at what I made net per day running those long miles, I would have made more money running short after fuel. And all I'm talking about is after fuel dollars. I'm not talking about anything. I'm just saying if you look at the after fuel dollars, you're going to make more money running short. And here's the other misnomer in trucking. Everybody says, well, work-life balance. If you want work-life balance in this business, you have to run short. But not only do you have to run short, but your business plan has to be able to support running short. And if your needs are above that, it's going to be tough, right? Because, again, if you go back to what I said earlier, and trucking is a lifestyle, if you believe trucking is a lifestyle and you believe in rate per mile, you're falling right into the hands of the broker. Because why should I pay you? Do we pay the rich to live a rich lifestyle? No. Do we pay the poor to live a poor life? No. Listen, you choose the lifestyle you want to be in, right? So, I mean, if you accept that, then you're just again, you're accepting poor wages because you buy into the lifestyle. I would agree trucking was a lifestyle 30 years ago. Not anymore. You have cell phone, GPSs, internet, computers. Come on. Give me a break.
Well, people are saying to sell DVDs and things at truck stops, which we already been down there. We've seen people selling those. So, Dean, you need to sell ice cream.
I just tore it up, man. I got me 2
Tore it up.
scoops.
Say, man, he had 2 scoops and a and one of those food drinks. One of those
he had
lattes.
he had a sissy stick in his rainbow
Yeah.
lollipop. Too,
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
You're
I see
breaking up,
that.
Jeff.
Oh, am I? He says I'm breaking
What's
up. I'm
going
not
on?
breaking up. It's probably your signal with that cricket phone you got.
Now he's buffering.
Who?
Rich, say
So
something.
what's been going on, Rich?
I'm talking. What do you? What? Am I not working?
Yeah, you're working. You're working.
What's going on, man? Is my stuff still working?
Damon, what
Having
truck are
trouble
you
connecting.
driving, sir?
He's got a
Volvo.
new truck.
Yeah, I got a Volvo.
There's Jeff.
He's got a Volvizi.
Oh,
Well, the yuppie trucker used to like to sit on the back row with all his buddies, right? So
Right.
on my first
I can't hear him.
in my
Keep going, Cascade. He's
What'd he
out of
say?
it. Keep going.
I can't hear him.
anyway, I was I stopped at Little America in Wyoming, my first 2 weeks out, and I sat on the back row, and it was just Swedish Mafia back there. The whole back row was all Swedish Mafia.
Dean, you need to buy Snorlord's coffee. Although you're not going to be able to hear this, that's just an excuse you don't have to buy it.
No, I see the comment. I can hear you guys now. It's not cutting out anymore. I saw the comment. I need like binoculars to see it, man. Shit, dude, I'm getting old.
Come on, Dean. Get with the program, man. Get some new glasses. The last time you went to the VA to get glasses was probably 1940.
Hey, listen, these things are like binoculars, dude. I can see everybody's future looking at these.
I can see his future.
Yeah, I can predict your future. There's a song. Hey, what's that rap song? It says, I predict the future. You know what I mean?
Not really. Shannon, do you understand what he's saying? You can help him out with the song.
Come on, help me. Pretty pictures. I'm trying to get the words. I can predict the future. I think, what is it by oh man. All right, so,
I
yeah,
never
you
heard
guys
that
are
song.
from Detroit. You should know.
Never.
Oh, yeah.
No, we're not from
All
Detroit.
right. Well, I tried.
No, we're 60 miles north of there. We're not from Detroit. There's a difference.
We don't listen to yuppie music on
close
this
enough,
side over
man.
here.
Yeah. Yeah, in Buick City, there
Oh
is no
my
such
God.
thing as yuppie
Oh.
music.
Hey, listen, where is Cascade at? He's putting that yuppie crap out there again. And now,
Yes.
listen, there's a price, man.
He bailed
This
on
is
you,
not
dude.
even right, man.
He
I
bailed on
know.
you.
He says
You-
it. He said it, and then he 86
Look.
himself out of here.
Dean, when you start talking spreadsheet stuff, you know, he probably fell and hit his head on the steering wheel, and here he is. He's back now.
No, I'm trying to see the chat and pushing the wrong buttons, and I booted myself out.
That's another old timer that has to deal with technology like the rest of us. Well,
it's
there's
as
a
bad as
difference.
me.
There is a difference with Cascade, though. I gotta give it to him. When you're 7'5" and your hands
You're right.
can palm a basketball, the little cell phone, there's no match.
Yeah, I mean, there's a
Right.
lot of double. Yeah, I mean, I got to go with the extra large keyboard. I'll just say that.
So, what's your guys' take on Highway?
It was a pain in the butt.
Well,
Yeah, another
They,
company that sends
Yeah.
out false data on everybody and it doesn't double check their stuff. You know, it's a crying shame, right? That
it cost me money.
these companies are allowed to do this. Well, then that's when a class action lawsuit needs to roll around.
Well, what about this? So I was thinking about this today, guys. So in Cascade knows kind of alarm. I talked to him earlier, but think about it. So the brokers say, hey, you can't hold the load hostage, okay? But don't they hold our detention and everything else hostage? Extra stop pay. Oh, we got to get it approved. Well, what kind of nonsensical is that?
Well, there's no such thing as getting it approved because if that broker's gonna have a contract with that shipper, they've already negotiated all of the detention time, so there's no getting that approved.
Right.
If those bills
It's
are in
just
their
an
time
excuse.
stamp, it's an excuse,
Yeah,
right?
so
It is an excuse.
right, but aren't they holding?
Oh,
Well, aren't they
now
holding
we're
our
in
money
trouble.
hostage?
I'm gonna let him in here. Sage, what's up, baby?
You know what you gotta say is say, look, I'm not holding your load hostage. I'm now calling in your credit. I'm canceling your credit. So now you gotta pay me. So it's all in the wording if you want to technically handle it. No, actually, to be completely honest, if you cross state lines, that's what Carmack is. You technically can void their credit and make them pay COD. That's in Carmack. That's one of the things they make you waive when you sign the broker agreement crap, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, well, again, those things. Look, they shouldn't be if they don't want me to hold the load hostage, and that's their expectation. Then the expectation is that if I incur detention or some time wasted baloney because of something out of my control, you should give me my daggone money, man. That's a bunch of both.
No, I agree. Like for me,
that's a double standard.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
So what I normally tell guys is to write it off and turn it in as an unpaid debt no matter what to the IRS, right? Write that time off, right? But for me, it's real simple. It's like, okay, it's 2 hours. Where you at? And what do we have for detention? And if they're like $100 an hour, I'll be honest, because I'll go to the customer and say it's $125 an hour because I got to keep track of all the detention and shit. And anyways, but I just add it to the rate con as soon as we're out of there. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna send you another rate con. Or normally what I do, if it's at the shipper, I'll be like, all right, here's an email saying I'm gonna pay you. Let's make sure you don't have any detention at the receiver. And if they don't, before they invoice them, I cut them a new rate con, and then they invoice me with detention. But you got to kind of explain that to your customers. And some of these brokers are either the customers claiming it or they don't want to go back to their customers for it. To me, it is what it is. You got to kind of explain it to them that we can't hold these trucks up or it costs money.
Right.
But it's difficult because
Yeah.
most brokers don't want to lose their customers and they don't know how to sell that to the customer. Like, it's not a hard sell. You just have to say, look, if you tie up these trucks, it ties up their time. So before we come in there, is your product ready? Are you ready to go? And if I'd rather bring them in after lunch than have them sitting there at 7 o'clock in the morning. So where are we at? But they're just not. They don't give a shit, to be honest. Oh, sorry, they don't give a crap, to be honest. I'm finding more brokers. I got a carrier now. I got a broker now that um, owes one of my carriers $14,000. So they have until the 17th, and then I'm going to start calling their customers and doing a show about it. So if they don't pay, they don't. So it's getting bad.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
no, I mean,
and then there's also like Carrier 411. I don't like those guys either. Uh,
right.
Yeah, I'm not thinking. I don't have Carrier 411, or I don't even have a dashboard. I don't have a truck stop anymore. I'm not even posting my loads. I'm just calling my carriers, my normal guys.
well, yeah, once you get that established, you don't need to post them
Yeah, you really
because
don't.
you
But
always
I
have
think,
somebody that can haul it.
yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at now. And then the issue, well, not the issue, is one of the things I am seeing is, to be honest, is they don't want single owner operators anymore. So they just don't. It's too much of a risk. It's too much of not like you, Jeff, but like a solo guy. You're too much of a risk. You're probably underinsured right now. There's so much. I'm just being honest, and I did this on a show that over on X. There's just too much fun
Yeah, but
going on, too much risk going on,
but
and they
Sage,
just
Sage, Sage, hold
good.
on a second. But hold on. So
Yeah.
Jeff and I were talking about this very same issue just a couple days ago.
Mhm.
So if you go back to a year ago when the rates started declining, okay,
Mhm.
uh, Jeff and I talked, and I said to Jeff, look, the one truck carrier has a lot more staying power than a company with 5 trucks to let's say 300, right? Anything under, yeah, we'll say 300. But and if you look at the way the market is, because a company that has 5 trucks or 100 trucks, man, they're highly leveraged and generally not a lot of investors. Okay,
Yeah. So the,
so
the thing the thing is that I'm looking at the load that you're hauling, right? And a couple
no,
things
no,
are
no.
happening.
But hold on. But
But
let me
yeah,
make my point, Sage. But
yeah.
here's my point. So they can try to run these single operators out of the industry. It's not going to work. And I do agree with you though. I do think if we look at the rates now compared to January, look at there's 20% drop just from January till now. Okay, and I do think that they're trying to get rid of single operators to some degree. Right? I think they're
Yeah.
trying to weed out some capacity. But listen, it's a double-edged sword. But if you also look at what the government's doing, the government's stacking the deck, right, with people that are coming from other places and they're putting them in trucking. Okay, because they're going
Mhm.
to stack the deck to make sure COVID never happens again, right? And
Right. Well,
so on one hand, I agree with you. On the other hand, I think they got to be extremely careful.
what they want, like, if I look at a carrier, I'm going to look at Jeff, and I'm going to say, okay, I'm just going to use simple numbers, Jeff. I don't know your exact trucks, but I'll just go with this. Jeff's got 15 trucks or more, right? He's got a higher leverage. I'm sorry, higher insurance. I can go to him and make one phone call, and possibly he can reach out to his 15 trucks or 20 trucks or 50 trucks, whatever, right? So the issue is that it's easier for me to make that one phone call and reach out to him. The other aspect is it perfect is right now a lot of drivers are one repair away from going down. Well, what happens if that one repair is underneath my load, right? And you can't get fired up. Now, a Jeff's company, let's just say, with multiple trucks that he has, most likely he's going to be able to get that thing moving again and at least get the load delivered. Where you're out of
Yo,
business.
yo.
So, and the other aspect that they're looking at, hang on, is now that with all these nuclear verdicts with the brokers, and now brokers are being sued, you don't have $1 million is not enough. It's just not enough. I mean, we just had somebody said that somebody twisted an ankle on my show, and the insurance paid out $400,000 for a twisted ankle. So if you're in a wreck, you're probably going to take out a couple cars. A couple people are going to get hurt, and that 1 million is going to be whipped through like nothing. They're going to start suing and that's what they're doing. They're now suing the brokers, and they're now suing the shippers or the customers, whoever the
Okay, but
person
Sage, hold
is.
on a second. But think about this. If they want to run out the single owner operators, who follows with them? The broker, right? So the very thing that the broker's trying to do, and this is why I think it's the greatest heist ever, because I think if you just look at something simple like speed limiters, the
Mhm.
first set of people that
Is he breaking up or am I?
Yeah, no, he's breaking up.
Oh, okay.
He's got cricket.
Okay. Well,
All
the
right, so
thing is,
so
they
Sage,
wanna- yeah.
so like me,
because
right? I got the one
without
insurance
single
policy.
operator,
Oh, now he's
Okay.
back. Oh, now
Can
he's
you hear
back
me?
off again. So I got the one insurance
Oh,
policy, but then I have a backer, right? I got a bigger backer.
Right, and so what happens is what they're trying to do is say, okay, Rob, we'd rather you drive for Jeff than be out there by yourself, because you as a one truck fleet
it doesn't matter.
isn't
Just-
as it's. I know it doesn't matter to you, but from somebody else looking at it,
You're missing
Okay,
my
go ahead.
point, though, Sage. Because you missed. But no,
oh no,
you're
you didn't
missing my
finish.
point.
You didn't finish. That's why you broke up. Go ahead. I didn't hear it.
But here's my point. If they want to run these single owner operators out of the industry, or they think that's their plan, listen, that's gonna go the other way. And a lot of these brokers, without the single owner operators, where do they go? So let's say that happens. What you just said, your situation. Let's say the owner operator goes to a guy like Jeff, okay, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But here's the thing: if you don't have as many brokers calling you, I don't need that many brokers online anyway, out there in the marketplace. So that aspect of the industry will also shrink. So
Oh, yeah.
I think it's counterproductive to want to get rid of the single owner operators, because all that does is take out brokers along with them.
No, and if I played a couple videos from Parade, and Parade shows the AI pricing. It shows the AI negotiations. Like, you're not negotiating with a human, you're negotiating with a computer. Okay, it will literally handle negotiations with you. Like, I don't even have to talk to you. When it comes to negotiations, those are all done AI. AI is doing negotiations now. I showed a video, but it was on X. So.
Yeah.
The issue is that if you go from your truck, now you might leave trucking, that's a possibility, or you might go over to Jeff. But either way, you're still in the fleet. You're more efficient for me, because now I can call Jeff and have a possibility of 30 trucks rather than work with you one time. The problem is the risk for me to post it on the load board and how much fraud there is, double brokering, fake carriers, stolen loads. It's better for me to not work with that solo guy and work with a Jeff who's been established with multiple carriers. The risk isn't enough. Like, I've had meetings with my shipper, and my shipper, this is something that, we sit down and we have to talk about stuff like this. And, this is their concerns. They don't want their loads to be under a truck that goes out of business because he blows a transmission and he's done, right? Or they don't want a truck to get into a wreck, a one truck guy who might only have $1 million because of the nuclear verdicts that are now coming back on shippers. This is all stuff that's talked about at the upper levels. And it's easier to go to, like I say, I'm using a Jeff right now because he's there, where he has more insurance. He has tenure. He has multiple trucks that are signed on to him. And, I can go to him and have a little bit more reinsurance that he's not going to, we hope, now it's still possible because even Yellow went down, that it's not going to happen in the middle of the run.
Yeah, but I just don't think that's I don't think that's a long-term solution, and I think that actually works against the brokers because the carrier will have a lot more leverage.
Well, no, because technically it's not even just the brokers. It's the shippers are now coming. Like they called me to a meeting and basically said, "Hey, what's going on with fraud? What's going on with insurance?" I just had the insurance guy on, and there are so many people that are getting their insurance canceled because insurance companies are now shutting down because there's no profits. Like I just did this show yesterday, and I had Dan, the insurance agent, come on and talk about this. So the issue is that the one truck fleet with AI and with the algorithms is no longer that it's no longer basically a good deal anymore. Like it's not worth the. I know I'm being and nobody wants to hear this. I know I don't want to hear this, right? Because I still work with one guy trucks, right? But the bigger guys are basically looking at that and saying, what's the risk to work with that one truck one time for one load? And I might not see that guy for 3 months when I can go to a Jeff and possibly work with his 50 trucks and possibly, eventually go with contracted rates. And if I'm going to build relationships outside of AI, it's going to be with trucks with carriers that have more trucks. So you're still hauling freight under a contract because he's not a company. You're not a company driver. You're just with Jeff instead of by yourself. So there's
well,
so
no, I
that's how we
understand that
see
stage, but but you're still you're not gonna have the need for as many brokers as you do now if that's the way you think it's going.
Well, that's brokers are going under. We know that brokers are going under.
There's just many brokers going under as our trucking company.
Right. So that's why we're doing it, because brokers are going under also. So we have to. The brokers are going. I'm specialized, so I'm kind of different. But brokers are going under, so they're learning to optimize because brokers are going under. So,
right, but I guarantee you, if that is the case, you will see more carriers. So if people are forced to do something like that, you're going to see a lot of carriers, a lot more, fall off, and then that's where I think folks like Jeff and others, the ones that do stay, I think that the cards now go to their side of the table,
correct,
and they're going to have a lot more leverage.
Yeah, and that's fine because understand that it's not. What the rates are driving people out 100%. But when it comes down to, hey, I have better insurance, I have a bigger carrier, I'm out here. Shippers have no problem eventually paying money when that leverage is there. They don't want to pay it when it's not. Like if you don't have leverage, they're going to pay dirt cheap. But what they are going to do is when the leverage goes back to you, they're going to basically say, hey, it's safer to make this move than to put it on a solo guy, because this guy's got 50 trucks.
Well, I don't know if it's safer or not. Listen, I'm not believing that it's safer. I think the FMCSA has dropped the ball, Sage, when it comes to all this fraud and.
Well, here's the other thing too.
There's no checks and balances, and now they're saying next year in January 2025 they're going to redo Safer and make it more user friendly, right? And have a lot more safeguards in it, right? They want to have two-step authentication, all this other stuff. Look, this is more on, and back to Jeff's point with Highway. Listen, you know what they're doing is they're killing the one truck operators. When you call up a broker and they say, well, if you're not with Highway, you can't use us. That's insanity. So you mean
that company is putting out false information.
Well, exactly. And they're not paying for experience, Sage. They're going to hurt a lot of guys, and they're going to really hurt the industry. Because a lot of these guys with experience and gals with experience are going to say enough is enough and I'm going to get out. Because it's total crap. When you call Highway and they say, well, you failed? What do you mean I failed? Go on Safer. I'm not failing anything.
Right.
No, and I understand. But that's what I'm trying to say. It's like the push is basically to move solo drivers. You are bad for the algorithms. Right? It's easier for me to algorithm a Jeff's carrier than it is a solo, right? Than a lone wolf. So they're moving into algorithms and they're moving into that type of thing. when we start to
Right.
rate. I mean, you can watch the videos on highway and parade and all that.
Yeah, but they have the wrong algorithm because it's not correct. For instance, with the algorithm that hits me with is, hey, we don't have high value cargo insurance, but we do. And then they say a few other things, which we have that stuff too. And it's like your data is not even accurate. So where are
Yeah,
you getting
I
it
mean
from?
that's something that is going to have to be programmed, it's going to be learned, and it's going to be updated better. I mean,
But what
imagine-
happens though, it causes other brokers not to work. So, for instance, we had a broker that we worked for 7 years, and they said, well, we're in highway now. So as soon as I click the button, they say, oh, we can't work with you now. Well, why not? Well, because highway says so.
Yeah, and that's where somebody in your office is going to have to say, well, I have to get this fixed. And they're going to want that commitment from your end to get that fixed. That's a part of business. So
Yeah, but how can a private company have more jurisdiction or more power than the federal government?
like the insurance companies?
Well, no, like this company, because no one's back checking their data. So if I'm a broker, I'm not going to use them because how do I know where they're getting their data and their data is correct? So why would I let my business, let some other business tell me who to pick to help me run my business? That's just bad business.
Because those are company policies now, right? So I can have company policies, like somebody might have a company policy that you can't drive unless you have 2 years experience. Well, where does that say that in the FMCSA? It doesn't. It's a company policy. So what's happening now is companies are using algorithms to try to get rid of this.
You can't say the expectation with the federal government is this, and then you're going to have your own set of expectations that I guess supersede the federal government. Like
No.
That's not logical.
That is 100%. We already have that. We already have that. The federal government says you can drive.
Whatever's on FMCSA, no, but Sage, whatever's on FMCSA, if that's accurate and you don't have the correct information, I mean, yeah, it's my problem, but it's not my problem. And they're using their information that is not accurate or correct in many cases against the carrier.
Right, but it's your
carrier's money.
But it's your job to get your information properly out into highway. It would be your job to do that.
It's not my job to do that.
Sure, it is. If you listen, because
that company's just like Carrier 401, they won't talk to you.
Well, I've talked to them. You can talk to them to correct your information. If your information is incorrect, you can call and say my information is incorrect. What do you need me to do to get it correct? That would be your job. Or you don't have to haul freight. You can find your own customers, or you can find people who don't use highway. But if you want to use if they're part of the system, it would be your job of your company to get that information correct.
But here's the deal,
right, Gary. They pull. Gary's the thing. They pull old information, and that information is bad. And to get somebody to correct it is like pulling teeth. And you can ask DIY Semi; he'll tell you the same thing.
Not only that, but that's discrimination, Sage.
It's not discrimination.
Actually, could be a big lawsuit coming because it's
defamation.
It's defamation, and
not if you're not fixing the information, right? I can have wrong information, like something is wrong in the system, and you're like, no, that's my insurance. I've actually got 2 million now. Okay, well, can you send me that information? Yes, you send me that information. Like, if the information's wrong.
But they should have that information because that information is on the FMCSA, how much money you got, and that aspect. And then they're pulling digital data from everywhere. They're pulling digital data from your drivers. They know exactly what iPad or iPhone they're using. They know exactly what websites they're going to, and they're pulling that data and they're linking carriers together. So, for instance, if you have, let's say Landstar, they have 8,000 independent contractors. Well, that company's going to say they have 8,000. They're representing 8,000 different carriers, and there's nothing but double brokering there. That's what they're going to see because they say they're involved with all these other carriers, which they're not. They're involved with contractors that are leased on, so they have big problems.
But you have to understand is that if I have to know the information is wrong, I have to know it's not true. For you to do slanders, I have to know it's not true. If I don't know it's true, and I can say, well, this information, this is where I
They
got
don't
it
know
from.
it's accurate either. They don't know it's accurate either.
If
Well, it
they
would be
post something, they are legally bound to have 100% accurate information. They cannot post
no,
something on you or it. Yes.
because they can pull it as long as they can show where they pulled that information from. They can say, well, we pulled it from here. And if it says that you have this and that they pulled it from that spot, then they
But they
can
got
do
to
that.
double check. They should call that spot
No,
where they got it from and make verify that their information is correct.
Right.
If
no,
they're
they
selling
don't
that
have.
data to somebody else, yes.
Right.
It's
And
your
they're
job
not
to.
getting they're not getting their information from FMCSA, because I spoke to one
No,
of
they're
them
getting it. They're getting
folks.
it from all over using digital
That's
data
right.
on internet
Right.
protocols and getting it off your addresses. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
FMCSA doesn't carry a lot of information, to be honest, right? Compared to what they're pulling.
Yeah, but
But
it
if
does
it's
have the pertinent
wrong,
information, though, Sage. It has the pertinent information, and even the pertinent information is wrong. And
then
so and the issue I have with these third-party companies: if you're going to make this a stipulation or a requirement, and you won't let us haul a load unless it's accurate, then you should be open 24/7, because you're costing the carriers money.
no, but okay, but I'm not costing you money because you don't have to haul my freight.
No,
Okay,
you won't let me
so
book the
I
load unless
no
the
no
information's
I
accurate.
don't have listen.
And they're
I
not
don't
open 7 days a week, Sage.
I don't have to let you. I don't have to put you on my load at all. So you can't. I'm not
Okay.
costing you money.
But
Like
listen,
you,
but Sage, but hold on a second. This is my issue with the whole industry, because you
right?
got these guys going out buying a truck, right? This is the
Yes.
only industry. This
Mhm.
is the only industry where the business owner has zero control of their business.
No, it's not.
And
No, it's not.
no, it is, Sage. And this is why I said earlier, Snore is 100% right, because the money is not in the miles. The money's in the loads. And the more you're empty, the more power, the more leverage
Okay.
you have to make
So
money.
you listen. So you go and hang on. So you go and buy a truck with no customers. You don't have to use a broker. You could have gone to a direct customer and said, "Hey, before I buy a truck,
It
can I
doesn't
haul
matter.
your
But
freight?"
Sage,
So
you're missing
you're
the
in
point, because
control.
you're missing the point. Look,
No, I'm not.
no, you are. I think both sides should make money. But
Mhm.
you always want to stand up on the pedestal to say, well, the brokers are always right, and this is what it is. No, it's not. That's not the way
Okay,
it
let
is,
me
Sage.
let me do a challenge. Let me give you a challenge, and I'll offer.
If a
Okay.
restaurant owner calls, calls the supplier, does the supplier, Shamrock Foods or Cisco, do they tell that restaurant how much they can sell a plate of steak for? No, they don't.
Let me explain something to you guys. And I think the problem is you don't understand. Okay, a couple of things. So the first thing I've done is offered a challenge. I have gone 14 years without pulling my business from a load board. I have no load board. When I wake up in the morning, I have no load board to pull freight from. I have challenged any driver to go 1 year without using a load board. Because I've gone,
Sage,
hang on,
that is
wait,
so
just listen to me.
unrealistic.
No,
That is
listen
so
to me.
unrealistic.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
That's so
Okay?
unrealistic.
It's not unrealistic. It's,
Look,
I'm-
you're a sales guy. When are you supposed to have time to go door knock? If you go buy a truck
so wait a
and
minute.
then
Stop,
you want
stop,
the guy
stop,
to go
stop. Hang
pound
on.
doors, give me
Hang
a break, man.
Stop.
Come
Hang
on.
on a second.
And then
Hang
on
on.
the door.
Hang on a second. So you signed up and bought a truck and a trailer. It paid for insurance with absolutely no customers.
You know what, Sage? There's a bunch of salespeople out there selling
Mhm.
whatever kind of widget in the world, and you know what
Mhm.
they do? They get a list of numbers and they smile and they dial, because that's their job. But when
Okay,
a
so
guy
what
goes
you
out and buys a truck, a very different scenario.
okay?
Very
So
different
what?
scenario.
So, well, hang on.
Because when
So-
you want to open your brokerage, Sage, when you want to
Mhm.
open your brokerage, you don't have a piece of equipment and a bunch of stuff that is coming due in 30 days, right? You can smile and dial and get those customers.
So
because
let me
you have the time. You have the
Okay.
time to do that.
Correct, but I make no money.
Well,
So if it
actually,
takes me a year to get, hang
That's your
on.
choice.
Correct.
actually, shippers could go out there, and if somebody made the right board, shippers could post all their loads, and they wouldn't have to worry about anybody else.
Well, you're
If it
right,
goes
but
to
the
that
problem.
position, but
You're right, but
there's
there's so
always
much
a problem. There's always going to be a problem.
Okay, listen, hang on. Let me finish here. So one of the things I also say now is before you back into that door, okay, somebody did sales and marketing, finances, they ran their credit, operations, they made sure the proper equipment was coming in, and dispatch. They did all of that before you showed up. Okay? That's a lot of services that were done before you got to back into that door.
Right.
Okay?
And so if you're
Now, hang
talking
on.
about AI and everything, Sage,
Are you going to let me finish?
You
I
won't need
swear to
that
God.
going forward. The shippers can have their own boards, and all that can be done electronically without a broker.
No, because there's
Exactly.
no way. There's no way you could handle all of the inbound, outbound traffic as fast as it happens. Somebody
Yeah.
is going to have to be able to do the sales and we saw that customers still want human relations. Okay. Now hang on. Okay. I can't remember because you got me off track here. Okay. So I hear this all the time
It's
in regards
flustered.
to, yeah, well, no, the problem is he rifles so much stuff off before he lets me finish a sentence. So before I have absolutely no access to freight. I have none. I have to, everything that I've done for the past by myself, I've been doing it for 18, but for 14 years, I've had to go and get my own customers or I don't eat. I starve to death. Okay. So the issue is that just because you paid them, you could have said, you know what, instead of buying a truck and a trailer, maybe I'll pay 20 grand and hire a salesman to see if I can get customers and open up a brokerage first. You didn't. You
No,
bought
that
a
would
truck.
be the dumbest thing anybody could ever do. Is
Well, that's
let
what I
somebody
did.
else run
That's what I
their
did.
business.
I basically,
Well, that's so. Hold on a
it's
second.
not,
You paid. Okay, let me understand. You paid somebody else to smile and dial for you
no,
as a
that's called,
sales guy.
so you're telling me that companies don't have salesmen? It's done to have a salesman? Is that what you're telling me?
No. You're the salesman. If it's your company, aren't you the sales guy? Aren't you the
No,
closer?
no. Sometimes the CEO is not the sales manager. The
No.
CEO is not
But
the
you're not.
sales manager.
But when you're starting, no. But Sage, hold on a second. When you're
Yeah.
starting a company, it's
Yeah.
supposed to be your baby. It's supposed to be your baby, right?
No, it doesn't have to be.
You build your own book of business. Why
No,
do I
you don't.
want to rely on Frank to go and smile and dial for me?
Listen to me. Do you think Bill Gates was a salesman?
I do. I think a lot of these successful guys went out there and they beat the street and they built their business up
Well, then you didn't. Then you didn't.
until it became financially feasible or logical to hire other
No.
people. Absolutely.
There's lots of CEOs that basically have business, go out and invest in a salesman.
Listen, I'm not saying there's not. Of course, you're going to have the guys that got put in that position. And listen, there's a lot of guys that graduate college with a sales and marketing degree, right? But they can't close the door behind them. Okay.
So what I'm trying to say is you went into business by buying a truck, buying a trailer, paying for insurance, and you are now. See, this is the problem. You're being hypocritical. You just told me you should be.
You are. Listen, the brokers want their cake and eat it too.
Wait a minute. No, hang on. Let me finish the sentence.
I mean, it's not your birthday every day.
Rob, you just said you should start your own book of business as your own business, but yet you didn't do that. You bought a truck.
Because now you're putting. I said you should. In your business, I believe that's possible. In trucking, if a guy goes out and buys a truck, that's unreasonable. You can't do it. There wouldn't be any trucks. And I hope that things go the way you think they'll go, because you know what? Again, when the brokers should have a voice, they don't have one.
Do you know when I got my carrier?
Hold on. I.e. speed limiters. This is going to have a drastic impact.
It's not.
It is.
It's not.
Okay. I hope you're right. And maybe it won't have as much effect as I think it will, because they are stacked in the deck to make sure that there's enough trucks on the road. Okay. But it will, I promise you, because I remember what it was like 30 years ago, Sage, when we all went 55 mile an hour. And we have 1,000% more trucks on the road that we did back then. And it's going to have a tremendous impact.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem with a single owner operator trying to go out and get a direct customer in a book of business.
I know they
Because
can't. What I'm trying to say
they
is
can't
you
because
So let me
they're
understand this.
driving the truck,
So
and if
uh,
that guy, if that shipper gets
yeah,
somebody else, he just can't drive around town and find some other place, and he doesn't
right.
know these
So
other places in other cities or other towns. So
yeah,
it's almost
and
impossible if they, because if a guy loses his business,
perfect. Yes,
then he can go out on an
I
open
agree
board
with
and
you.
find roads until he can find
I
somebody.
agree with I agree with you 100%. And yet you still did it. You did something that you literally could not go any further with. You went in there. This is my confusion. I got my brokerage, then I opened a carrier because I got direct customers. Then I needed a carrier. You went in knowing you could not get any direct customers. You just said there's no way you could do it. You all know you can't do it. So, but yet you still go in and do it, and then wonder why you're stuck.
Well, I don't
No,
wonder
and
why I'm
Explain
here's
that to
stuck.
me.
well, and here's the thing, though, Sage. I don't believe it. I don't believe that's the answer, right? I don't believe that's the answer at all. And here's the
Okay.
point I'll make to that. If you look at any sales organization, what do sales
Yeah.
managers preach all the time? Referrals, referrals, referrals. Oh,
Yeah.
build your book of business and live off referrals. It's impossible. If it was that easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Right.
That's sales manager bullshit, right? That's number one. Number two, if guys think that having direct customers as a one truck, one trailer operation is feasible or logical,
It's not.
listen,
But yet you
take
still did
unicorns
it.
and rainbows. That ain't going to happen.
Exactly. But you still did it. And then you complain.
No. The issue that we have, Sage,
Yeah.
is the brokers can't have their cake and eat it too.
We're not having our cake
What,
and eat it too. The
no,
shippers
you
are
just
coming
said that
down
the
to
reason
us.
that this came up is because we're
Shippers.
saying, well, yes, we're saying to you, the shippers don't need brokers. And I
They
believe
do
that's
need
exactly what's
brokers.
going on. I think the
No,
brokers are getting railroaded and don't even know it.
no. The shippers are not looking to start doing logistics. I can go to my shipper right now, and they could not do what I do. They told me they can't do what I do.
Listen, they will do what you're doing
No, they
when the
won't. They
market
won't hire
shifts.
some. They
Yeah, they
can't afford
will.
to hire someone. Do you know how many people they would have to hire?
Not with technology. They wouldn't have to hire many at all.
They actually would.
I don't believe it.
I mean, I'm being honest with you. I'm telling you
How
right
hard
now.
is it, though, Sage? How hard is it to run somebody's MC? How hard is it to run somebody's MC and check their insurance?
That's not all I'm doing. So the first thing you have to realize is what a broker does is they have to do sales and marketing. They have to get into that customer, right?
Yeah, but they can
Okay.
cut that
Now,
out and open
once
their
they're
own low board, and they listen. Sales and marketing is done by many sales organizations.
Let me ask you a question.
From a kiosk. Take the McDonald's kiosk. You and I always
Let me ask you a
go
question.
back and
Stop
forth.
talking.
That's all
Let
we
me ask you
need.
a question. Right now, we have a problem with fake carriers and fake brokers that are basically tricking brokers.
Yeah.
Do you think a shipper wants to handle that? Do you think a manufacturer
and
who
again,
makes widgets wants to handle
who does
fraud
that
in the
go back
industry?
to, though? Right. Who does that go back to? FMCSA's
Do you know
broken
how many
system.
people work for the FMCSA?
Not many.
How many?
That's the problem. Not
How
many.
many?
Not enough. Not.
Give me a number.
Not enough.
Give
I
me a
have no
number.
idea. Maybe
1,000.
20.
1,000 people work for the
Okay.
FMCSA.
I can tell you the people that we called when we got
Mhm.
our authority, and if you call that number, oh, sir, we got a small office. That's irrelevant. At the end of
Correct.
the day, Sage, if the FMCSA system wasn't broken, then you wouldn't have a lot of this fraud and stuff.
Oh,
That's
sure you would.
on them.
Sure you would.
I don't think so. No, I
Absolutely,
don't think so.
because the FMCSA can only do so much. No matter what you can do, unless you hire 80, 90,000
I mean, nothing's
people.
100%. Of course, nothing's ever 100%.
Correct, because you can't go out and there's 750,000 carriers out there.
Right.
I posted the numbers. So how do you enforce 750,000 50,000 carriers? You can't do it with 1,000 people in technology because they can't figure it out now.
Well, but I disagree with that. How many financial brokers are there in America? Probably more than 750,000.
About 300,000. 300,000
Okay.
brokers, I think.
And they got Department of Insurance and blah blah blah. This is why I've always said I think I think brokers should have a license,
So
just like
you have
a
to. I do
stockbroker
have a
or an
license.
insurance agent. Because if you want to file a complaint, it's real easy. You just go to the state insurance commissioner and you file a complaint, right?
Sure.
It'd be no different. And the brokers are dealing with money. They're dealing with monopoly money, fake money in the air. But they lie more than anybody. And if a financial advisor did that, what happens to them? They're going to lose their license. Why
but I don't
shouldn't
know
the
what-
same apply to a broker?
It does. You can't lie.
It does.
It's
No,
still,
no,
it's still,
it doesn't apply, Sage.
sure it does. If you're financially,
Who are you going to complain to? When a broker says the load picks up at point A and it doesn't, they're always misleading. You can't mislead if you're a stockbroker and have your Series 6 or 7
wait a minute.
license.
Well, hang on.
You can't do that.
What you broke up? When a broker says what?
When a broker lies to you about pickup cities, drop cities,
Yeah, well, that's a part of business.
rates, etc. No. It's not
Yes,
part
it
of
is.
business.
Yes,
You
it is.
cannot say,
No.
can a stockbroker lie to you? They lie to you.
No, okay, listen.
Sage.
Listen, I have been lied to. My insurance agent, my insurance to cover my
I
house
need
and my
a-
roof,
Jeff, can you
Lied
order
to
me
me.
a drink?
they lied to
Well,
me. Truck drivers, hang on. Truck drivers have lied to me. They have lied to me about where they were. They have lied to me about where the trailer is. They've lied to me about that they put something on the rail and they were supposed to drive it. Companies lie. They lie. I don't know what to
So-
tell you. Contractors lied to me to come fix my house. They lied to me.
All right.
So business people lie in business.
All
They
right,
lie.
so Sage got the last word in because it's 8:00 and I got to do this free Uber ride. So
All business
thanks
is
for
lies.
joining in, everybody. Yep, thanks for joining in, everybody. I get the last word because I'm gonna put the DT on everybody. I'll see y'all later.